For all of the justice reform that Donald Trump loves to brag about, you should know that the Justice Department has carried out the execution of a man who was only 40 years old.
A man. Yeah, I guess he was a man technically. He was also a murderer. So that's why he's here. That's why he's on the screen. That's why anyone knows this doofus. He was a murderer. And did you say he's only 40 years old? Yeah, a spring chicken. What does his age have to... Yeah, the people he killed were only 26 and 28. But yeah, Anna, I guess, how could we kill a man so young?
He was convicted for his involvement in a murder when he was only 18.
Only 18. So he's only 40 and now he was only 18. Anna, are you trying to make an argument that we shouldn't care that an 18-year-old killed two people? I don't understand. You know that's an adult, right?
And the story is just depressing all around, especially when you consider how much executions have increased under the Trump administration.
Wait a minute. These people were on death row long before Trump. So just finishing the deal is the art of the deal. I mean, that's just Trump finalizing something that should have happened long ago in a galaxy right here.
So here are the details. The Justice Department on Thursday executed Brandon Bernard for his involvement in the 1999 murder of couple Todd and Stacey Bagley.
I like that. His involvement, like he was just barely involved. And he set fire to these people.
Despite pleas for commutation from former jurors. There were jurors who heard that case and they were pleading for a commutation.
Yeah, and the former jurors had been pressured, and quite frankly, their opinion doesn't matter at all. I mean, you might as well said a former bailiff and a former janitor, the guy that cleaned the bathrooms at the courthouse where he thinks he shouldn't die. Okay, good for him. And I like that. There were pleas for commutation. What death row case has there not been pleas for commutation? That's a nothing statement. People bitch and whine about this every time we fry someone.
Criminal justice advocates also and celebrities. Bernard, 40,
only 40,
was the 9th federal inmate to be put to death this year. So if you really take a look at how unprecedented this is, you'll understand why there was so much outrage in the country.
It's not unprecedented. What do you mean? I mean, we kill people all the time. And those numbers reflect the federal government killing people. The states do it all the time, like it ain't no thing. But how can we take this story, which right now is just about Brandon Bernard, we killed this guy, even though a couple jurors, they didn't want it, and how are we going to make this about race? How could you talk about Kyle Rittenhouse? How can we talk about Dylan Roof? Dylan Roof, yeah, you think we forgot about him? Bring him up. I mean, this could be the worst point of the year. Go ahead.
He was the youngest person in the United States to receive a death sentence in nearly 70 years for a crime committed when he was an adolescent.
18 years old is not an adolescent. I mean, can you please stop trying to infantilize this man? He knew exactly what he was doing. He was an adult and he killed two people.
Also, his execution was delayed by more than 3 hours as the final pleas for his life were made to the Supreme Court and Donald Trump.
Yeah, it was delayed for over 2 decades. So the additional 3 hours is not that big a deal.
And of course, you think Donald Trump is going to want to save a black man who's on death row?
There it is. There it is. So we're not talking about anything. See, that's the power of race. Race can just fritz out everything else. For a second there, I was confused. I thought we were talking about a murderer and our policy about killing murderers. And, is 18 an adolescent or an adult? These are ideas that might be interesting to discuss. I mean, Anna's wrong on every single one of them, but no, now it's Trump is killing a black man. So, I mean, we're in crazy town right now. It's not Trump is killing a murderer. No, in their eyes, it's a black dude, first and foremost. So when we kill Lisa Montgomery in a couple weeks' time, the white woman who killed an 8-month pregnant woman, sliced open her belly, and took out her child, when we kill her, will they do a video and say, why is Trump killing a white woman? You fucking racist, Trump.
I mean, he wanted to execute the Central Park Five after they had been exonerated through DNA evidence.
Okay, that is in the top tier of most ludicrously pig shit ignorant statements I've ever heard from Hook Nose Anna. I want to hear it again. Say it again.
I mean, he wanted to execute the Central Park Five after they had been exonerated through DNA evidence.
He wanted to execute the Central Park Five after they have been exonerated by DNA evidence. So every part of that statement is wrong from beginning to end. Number one, they were not exonerated. Never. It just didn't happen. Their charges were vacated after the fact when the point was moot because a single judge decided to do that as a meaningless gesture. As in, they had already confessed, they had already served time, they had already been removed from prison. It was over. And so they literally are not exonerated, and they could be put back on trial again, and some think that they should have been. But at that time, the state was like, look, we already have charged them, found them guilty, and they've already served their time. So it doesn't even matter. Now, the DNA evidence is that Matias Reyes' semen was found in the body of Trisha Miley, and they matched it to this guy. This was a gang rape. He was the only guy that came. That does not, in any way, absolve these men of what they did. They're completely guilty. And then she says Donald Trump wanted to execute these guys after they had been exonerated. So she's wrong about the exoneration. The DNA evidence just showed that Matias Reyes was culpable as being one of the rapists, the final rapist in a gang rape. But her timeline is absolutely ass backwards. Donald Trump put out an ad not even saying that they should kill the Central Park Five. He's saying we should bring the death penalty back for murderers. Because when he put that ad out, it was in 1989, and Trisha Miley was in the hospital, expected to die. So Donald Trump was just saying, I am in favor of the death penalty for murderers. The assumption being this woman was going to die, and he felt bad about it. He's upset by that. And by the way, at the time he made that ad, 80% of the country agreed with the death penalty. It's not a controversial position. Matias Reyes and that DNA came out in 2002. So Trump talks about being in favor of the death penalty for murderers in 1989, and then in 2002, Matias Reyes comes out and confesses to the crime, or at least his involvement in the crime. And you're saying that Trump said what he said after that? Anna, you're 13 years off.
I mean, he wanted to execute the Central Park Five after they had been exonerated through DNA evidence. But let me give you more. The execution also broke a 130-year precedent of pausing lame duck executions until the incoming president is sworn into office.
Shocking. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, this is an unprecedented year. And after what they did with the Supreme Court justice, I mean, you think he's going to give a shit about a 130-year precedent about lame duck? He doesn't even think he's a lame duck.
But as we know, Donald Trump is probably filled with rage and after losing the election. So you think he's going to pass up a lame duck session to carry out this kind of cruelty? And I wanted to just read one quick tweet.
Cruelty? The death penalty is cruel? No, it's not. You know what's cruel? Setting people on fire is cruel.
From Jeffrey Wright, I think he makes a really good point here when he says, Trump and his clan can forgive a psychotic like Eddie Gallagher, he was a Navy SEAL, who expressed no remorse for his crimes, but refused forgiveness for Brandon Bernard, who was accomplice to a horrible act, was punished, and then by all reports, spent 22 years working at repentance. Wonder why?
When you think about the how final something like death is, execution and killing someone based off of something that they did, right? In this
like the death of Todd and Stacey Bagley, that kind of finality.
Country, there's a lot of murderers in this country.
Most of them are black.
We don't execute all of them. So where is the line where we pick and choose which ones we just put in jail for life, or 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, or the ones we execute?
There's many factors that go into that, and it depends on what state you're in, and it depends on mitigating factors, and it depends on the nature of the crime, and character witnesses, and if the person's offering up remorse, and if there's extenuating circumstances. So yeah, there's many, many factors that go into the sentencing.
And if there's no across the board normalcy to why we do it and how we do it, why are we doing it?
Because each case is different. And so you have to factor in every element of each case. So you don't want one standard for that.
Obviously, we already know there's plenty of folks that have been innocent. This guy,
no, there hasn't. That's bullshit.
This particular guy wasn't. But then what is he in jail for? What are other folks in jail for? Are they there to be rehabilitated? I don't think so.
No, he was not in jail to be rehabilitated. Absolutely not. He was in a way station, a purgatory, killing time before we killed him. He was a dead man walking the whole time. So as clear as can be, we were not here to rehabilitate Brandon Bernard.
We send people off to jail so we don't have to deal with them anymore. If that's what you want to do, say that. Let's stop saying it's a rehabilitation center.
Exactly, it isn't. He should have been killed long ago.
Or let's stop saying that we're trying to get, we're trying to keep other people from doing the same thing, because that's not helping either. Because have murder stopped? Yeah. No, so maybe this problem isn't the situation.
That's retarded. You don't have the evidence that the death penalty isn't working as a deterrent. And you cannot hold it up to the standard of, if there's still murder, then the death penalty doesn't work. What if I were to tell you that if we didn't have the death penalty, we'd have more murders? Brilliant, right? And also, there is such a thing as punishment. That is kind of part of the criminal justice system. It's a foundational aspect to seeking justice. It is righting the wrongs. It is payback. It is fairness. It is just. And if you have no comprehension of that, then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about when you keep saying the word justice.
One other thing about this I want to point out. The two folks that were killed back in 1999, in this particular case, were a couple, and they're religious. They were like, I think they were trying to preach the word to folks, right?
And by the way, notice that we're not mentioning that there were two white people. So it's like as if it doesn't matter at all. And if it was a white man who had killed black people, you know they would mention the race. But yeah, let's just forget that. They're just two Christians, right?
Which makes this even more of like a stinging thing. Like, oh, they killed these two very innocent, pure people who were just trying to preach Jesus' word to people. And that makes it even worse. And so the family of those folks said they thanked Trump for him not, pulling back on this and allowing Bernard to be executed. And that hopefully Bernard had accepted Jesus into his heart, and then their two family members will welcome him into heaven right now. I hear you.
That's garbage. Todd and Stacey Bagley are not in heaven waiting for Brandon Bernard to welcome him. And if he shows up at the pearly gates going, hey guys, I made it, they should put a cap in his ass and send him to hell.
And that's the Jesus approach to this, the religious approach to this. But why isn't this across the board? Same kind of point. There was this guy named Dylan Roof who...
Hey-oh, Dylan Roof. Yeah, there was a guy named Dylan Roof. Just fun. Brings up Dylan Roof to race bait, to say, oh my God, keep his memory alive. Let's churn up the hatred to white people. Talk about a needle in a haystack. He found the one time a white killed a black. And enjoy the silence of all the cases of blacks killing whites that we're not talking about right now.
Murdered 9 people in Charleston a few years ago, and he's still alive.
He's still alive. Were you trying to make a point there? Are you saying that he's still alive because he's white? You realize Brandon Bernard sat on death row for 22 years? Dylan Roof did that shit 5 years ago. And he's on death row, as are many, many other people. So please spare me the idea that he's not dead because he's white, which is the unspoken thing of what he just said. Let's take a look at the people on death row right now in Texas, just Texas. Here are the people. Here are their mugshots. Looks like a bunch of blacks and Hispanics, some scary looking dudes. Get a white guy in there every once in a while. But yeah, way disproportionately Mexican and black. And they're all alive. They're all alive. But you just mentioned Dylan Roof and threw in that little offhand comment, he's still alive. Huh. Yeah, let's let those Zoomers think about that. Why is it that this black dude just got killed, but that white dude is still alive? I mean, how half-ass of a point could you throw out there before you get embarrassed? Predator? Do you have any shame at all?
The families of those people were applauded, and this is up to them, were applauded for saying they forgive him and saying, you murdered my family members and I forgive you. We're like, look at the great grace of these people. So why aren't these people being hopefully pushed or praised to say, you know what, we'd like for him to live? What are these lines drawn in, and why are we applauding some folks for accepting death and murder of someone who killed their family member? Which, by the way, I get that feeling. I understand that. That's a human a reaction to it. And we don't expect that from other folks. What's the difference? There are religious folks too.
Wait, what? Okay, so Dylan Roof's victims' family members wanted to forgive Dylan Roof. And I criticize them for that. I think it's a ridiculous thing to try to forgive that guy. I understand why they do it. I know it's embedded in the Christian religion, but it's stupid. Now, go interview them, because Dylan Roof is still going to die. And them forgiving him does not mean they don't want to see him die. So that is not across the board, and there is no double standard here. These are individual people who lost family members. And yeah, they're both Christian. I got news for you. There's different kinds of Christians, and people can decide what they want to decide. You're trying to ferret out some sort of weird racism or hypocrisy. There is absolutely none.
I thought that's the same religion. That's the same Jesus and the same God that these folks were worshiping. Why are their family members needed for some serious payback? Let's get some executions going.
Go ask them. They have every right to say that. If those people hated Dylan Roof for what he did to their family members, wanted to see him die, then it's their right to say that. It's their choice, though. So how are you going to take those black people, their choice, and then compare it to a choice made by the white Christians with the Todd and Stacey Bagley, and notice that they're different, in the sense that one of them wanted to see this guy die and the others didn't, say. I'll just grant that point. How is it that you think there's a point in there? They're different people. It's a different circumstance. I don't even understand what you think you're saying.
That's not the narrative. That's not the energy that goes with that particular case. Why not?
It's so fucking stupid. And he's sitting there going, why not? They always have this patronizing thing of like, oh, it's obviously racist. So I wouldn't have a problem if those black people said, fuck Dylan Roof, let's see this guy burn. By the way, we are killing Dylan Roof, just like we killed Brandon Bernard. So you notice, isn't that weird? How there's zero difference? They're both murderers and they're both going to be put to death. How the individual family members want to deal with it is their choice.
Yeah, it's this weird double standard of forgiveness.
What double standard, Anna? I mean, what? Spell it out. Write it on a chalkboard. Where's the double standard?
Like demanded by you. Just I don't need to repeat it. You put it so well.
Nobody demanded forgiveness from the family members of the victims of Dylan Roof. Nobody.
And, of course, there were lawmakers who spoke out about this, including Ayanna Pressley, Representative Ayanna Pressley, who said state-sanctioned murder is not justice.
It is not state-sanctioned murder. It is literally justice. It is a punishment for a murder.
Trump administration has succeeded in only one thing, cementing their legacy of death with a criminal pandemic response and cruel return of the federal death penalty after 17 years.
What do you mean the return of? These people have been milking the system, getting delay after delay after delay. And just because our federal government is not killing people doesn't mean the states aren't doing it all the time. So don't try to act like, oh my God, we're killing people with the death penalty. Yeah, we do it all the time.
And she also retweeted this video reflecting on Bernard's life and time in prison. Let's take a look.
Just motivate myself to just...
Oh, we're not going to do a cutaway to Todd and Stacey Bagley? No home videos from them? We're not going to cut to their family members? Do you want to cut to their grave? Maybe one of them was cremated. Should we cut to that? No. We're going to cut to some random guy talking about self-improvement while he's in prison. Good for you, Brandon. Fuck you. I am so happy you're gone. You should never have lived this long. The fact that you saw 2020 is a joke. It calls our entire system into question. What are we doing? Why does it take this long?
It's change. I don't have to be stagnant because I'm in here. I can always improve on myself. Maybe not as much as people in the world can, but still, there's an opportunity to improve yourself. And for that, I have to take for those that believe in me out in the world and for myself.
Oh, Anna, are you tearing up? Poor you, Anna. Oh my God, you feel so bonded to the black.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes back to the point you were making, JR, about rehabilitation. I mean, our prison system is so shameful.
What? No, it's not. It did its job perfectly. The only problem I have is the delay.
In how they actually treat their inmates.
Did Brandon seem like he was being mistreated? He wasn't at all. We give him 3 meals a day and shelter and books and internet. And I mean, the guy was living a charmed life.
In that, like, they don't actually try to rehabilitate them, right?
Yeah, people on death row are not there to be rehabilitated. Is that a new concept for you people? Hey, we put you on death row, but really it's like a Big Brother program. We're just trying to improve you, trying to level you up.
I mean, prison rape continues to be a huge problem.
And you know who's doing the prison rape? Black people.
And our congressional lawmakers do nothing about it.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough situation, Anna, but it's prison life. Would you rather us put them all in solitary? Oh, but that's cruel. That's not good. All right, well, let's put them together. Well, now they're going to rape each other. You're damned if you do, you're raped if you don't.
And so to watch a video where a man shows it within this system how he wants to be different, how he's reforming, how he, how apologetic he is for what he did. Now,
who cares? He wants to be different. Who cares what Brandon Bernard wants? It doesn't matter. I want to be different. Yeah, okay. Hey, do you think this is going to work? Hey, Dylan Roof, do you want to change? Do you want to be different? Okay, why don't we rehab Dylan Roof? Set him free. I mean, the guy's sorry. Oh, that wouldn't work for you? It wouldn't work with that one.
I'm not saying that his involvement in this crime wasn't awful.
Okay, but you just said if a guy shows improvement and wants to be different and says he's sorry, we should not kill him? Should we set him free? I mean, how crazy is this, Anna? Tell me the end of this thought.
Like no one's trying to justify what he did.
But
I think ideologically, for me at least, I just have a fundamental disagreement with this like eye for an eye approach at so-called justice.
No, it's absolute justice. And so you agree then we should keep him in jail forever? Because you had just said he needs to be rehabbed, he's going to improve himself, he's really sorry. That was talk of someone who's trying to set a man free. You agree that a guy who kills people should be put in jail forever? Yes? Yes or no? I mean, you're such a dumb shrew. To hear you bitch and whine about justice and to wear that as like a label, like I am a justice warrior, and then you actually get into the details and they have no idea what they're doing. Like, these people are morally insane.
If the state believes that murder is wrong, how does it make sense to murder someone who committed murder or murder anybody?
It's not murder, it's justice, and it is punishment. It's like, Anna, if I said to you, stealing is wrong, that's my policy. I think stealing is wrong. So somebody stole money from me and then they had the money. It was in their possession. I then went over to them and took it back. Yeah, you stole it back. No. I took it back because it was mine. I restored order. That was justice. It was my money. They stole my money. I'm against stealing, remember? And then I took it back. Yeah, but Devin, if you're against stealing, why would you steal that money again? I thought the whole point was you're against stealing. So how could stealing be a remedy for stealing? Like, it doesn't make sense. Anna, you're incapable of thinking at an advanced level. Okay, what I'm doing right now is child's play. I mean, this is a basic, scathing, granted, critique of the thoughts you put out. You are so out of your league, it is frightening.
Revenge.
Right, and so, yeah, like this idea of revenge, which is, by the way, isn't that supposed to be against religion, like Christian religion? I don't know. I mean, when I went,
we don't base our justice system on religion. And also, it's not just revenge. And what's wrong with revenge, by the way? I think it's great. It is rightful punishment. So it is the consequence of an action that we all deem to be intolerable and evil. For every action, there is a reaction. And this brand of revenge and punishment is what we call justice.
Well, I have one more example of someone else that I'm not sure if everyone's going to be calling for the execution of, but there's this other guy named Kyle Rittenhouse.
Cross state lines. Kyle Rittenhouse, man. It's the exact same case. I mean, didn't Kyle Rittenhouse set a couple people on fire after robbing them?
He murdered a couple folks in the middle of the street and he walked away. And guess what he is? He's a patriot. He's a hero. He should run for Congress.
What do you mean he walked away? He's out on bail and is going to a trial for a double murder. I mean, he walked away. And again, they didn't mention that he was attacked. I mean, he killed in self-defense. This is juvenile. Comparing a case of a guy killing in self-defense after being viciously attacked and a guy who robbed people and set them on fire? Totally innocent people. Zero justification. You're going to compare those two things and then highlight, here's a difference. Let me ignore all the massive differences that are actually instructional in this comparison, and let me just focus on the fact that one's white, one's black. This is batshit crazy.
He's statues should be put up of him. These are the things that are being said about someone else that's a murderer that took two more people from this world and their family and friends are now mourning them. So do we celebrate murderers or do we execute murderers? I'm a little confused about how we operate in this country. Do we kill them or do we encourage more people to kill?
Well, yeah, not all murder is created equal. I mean, I would say you celebrate someone who defends their life righteously. They're being physically attacked and they defend themselves. That's not even a murder. That's a guy defending his life. And then another person who just kills innocent people. No, we don't celebrate that. We kill that man. So the difference is obvious. It is stark, and it's mind-blowing that you don't see it.
Or do we have a president that comes out and says you should kill more people as long as they don't agree, with me, they're okay to be murdered?
Did you just accuse Trump of calling for the murder of people who disagree with him? What?
But if they don't agree with me, they're rapists, murderers, killers, drug dealers. We see how this works. You put labels and characteristics on certain people, and then you don't on others, and those are the good guys versus the bad guys.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks.
Right. So he closes out with a beautiful projection where he accuses the theoretical someone else, the bad person, the person that he's superior to. He puts characteristics on people. He's talking about blacks and whites. You put labels on them, and then you just refer to them as the good guys and the bad guys, as in he's accusing you of looking at black people as bad guys and white people as good guys. This is the same man who just brought up Kyle Rittenhouse. Out of all the people in the world, Kyle Rittenhouse, he brought him up because he was white, and he said, look at that guy, he's an asshole. He brought up Dylan Roof for the same reason. So this is the man putting labels on people and calling white people the bad guys. I mean, Is there a degree of hypocrisy that you could die from? At a certain point, does it become a medical emergency? How much hypocrisy does it take before you shit your pants and just start laughing at yourself? Because clearly they've passed that.